My next guest is coming off an impressive victory over Dan Argueta, UFC Fight Night, September 23rd. It's Miles Johns, live from the car right now. Miles, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I did not pick up a win in the UFC this past weekend. You did. Before we talk about the performance itself, I don't think we've spoken since you have sort of linked up with Trey Ogden's team over there at Marathon. I know it's a tight-knit group. I interviewed Garrett Armfield before his last fight as well. Seems like it's really been good for everyone that's there right now. Just maybe talk a bit about that off the top and how things have changed over the last couple of years for you.
Yeah, man, it's been awesome over there. We're building something really strong, really close, like you said. And it's just been a huge blessing. I was happy to get the first time. I was happy to fight under him for the first time. And I realized that I just trusted him so much in the corner. You know what I mean? He was right on point. He really did help me out in a ton of situations. Like he was doing that cow catcher, trying to set up the guillotine and stuff. I feel like his corner work was actually a little bit underappreciated. So it was really good to get that first win with him. And yeah, it's a fun time to be over there at Marathon. I feel like we're building something that's going to be around for a long time, and we're laying the very first brick. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, great win off the top. Did the fight play out like you expected? I know you signed the contract, you feel like you're going to win, but kind of looking back, did it kind of play out how you thought?
Yeah, I did. I was visualizing that type of fight in my mind, in the sauna during long hours on runs. Just so much, visualizing hitting him with hard shots to fin and take down. Then he's just coming. Because I knew that that's the type of guy he is. He's a cardio king, and he's a wrestler. Wrestlers have that grit. I did think that late in the third or maybe late in the second that I would catch him with a shot that put his lights out, and I did catch him with a couple shots that I thought they'd be the one, but he's tough. He had a chin on him. So what can I say? Hats off to him. But I'll definitely be going back to the weight room, going back to the strength conditioning area to try to work on my power a little bit to make sure that in those fights I am putting people's lights all the way out.
Any worries on the scorecards going in there? You never know with the judges these days, but I mean, I think most people watching felt like you did win the fight.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit harder on myself. So I was kind of wondering. I didn't know that I got the first round. I thought that the first round was close. In the second round, I thought that I got the second and third, but there's no telling with the judges. So I was wondering for a second, but once they said 30-27, I was pretty confident because I knew that no judge would give him that last round for sure. So.
Were you surprised you were the underdog? I was going into the fight. I didn't really understand that. I mean, you look at who you fought, and I know there's been a few losses in between there, but you've always had a good record. And the win I was referenced to that people forget you had was against Adrian Yanez in LFA like a couple of years ago, right? Like you were battle tested before getting in the UFC. Did that part maybe surprise you a bit?
Yeah, it did surprise me. Put a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, no
Okay.
extra pressure, but yeah, I saw that. I couldn't blame him though. Also, you're only as good as your last few fights, and I had the John Castaneda fight, then kind of a layoff for a while, and then I had this last fight, Vince Morales, which was a win, but I saw it as a loss in my book because it just wasn't my best outing. It wasn't that exciting of a fight. So you're only as good as your last few fights. So I understood it, but I was coming in there to show people what I'm capable of and who I really am for sure.
What was the feedback like after the fight? And, and also your post-fight speech, man, that was great. I had no idea about that whole situation with your brother-in-law and all that. And yeah, maybe just tell me a bit about what it's been like since the win.
It's been good. I feel like I've gotten a lot of good feedback. People are kind of validating the work that I put in, saying it seemed like I was at a different level. But watching the film back, I feel like I could tell that I was out of there for 10 months. I feel like there were some things that I could have worked on. I could have tightened up my boxing for sure, could have put my head in different positions. I definitely could have performed better. So I'm just excited, man. The feedback was great. We needed that win. We needed an exciting win, but I'm ready to get back to work. I'm in the car right now because I just left the gym. I'm trying to keep my body in good shape and stuff and get right back to it. I feel like I'm just now hitting my stride. I'm just now hitting my prime, and I got a lot to prove in there. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Did you get to enjoy yourself after the fight? I know your wife was there. Did you get up to anything?
We just hung out. I recently I started a sober journey probably about 7 months ago, so a lot of
congrats,
times
man. That's awesome.
I appreciate it. A lot of times I would enjoy myself maybe a little bit too much, and it was kind of hard to integrate into normal life after, like, you go through that fight camp where you're just so locked in. I'm really not myself. I'm not all the way there for my family. They know that. I know that. And then you go through the fight and you get that super high, and then you're kind of trying to come down and integrate into normal life. And I would use alcohol and things like that to make the integration process a little easier, but in the long run it just makes it harder. I was just putting my body through the torment that it didn't need. So I'm excited. This is the first time I haven't been like drinking after, and then I'm right back in the gym, and then I'm just I'm feeling really happy, real on top of the world. And it keeps the high of the win around a little bit longer. I'd say even when I'm with my kids and stuff, I just feel more steady peaceful happiness. So it's been nice to experience.
Good. That's great. Like, so you said 7 months is how long it's been now?
Yeah, 7 months. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's great. And you know, again, because as we get older too, that hangover is way worse. So I'm sure you're not losing a day, right? Like you can, because that's the thing. You go celebrate, but then your next day, like you're eating bad food
Yeah.
because that's all you want, and then you're having to get the alcohol out of you, right? So
Dude, it's crazy, and that weight cut's no joke. I cut quite a bit of weight for 35. So afterwards, you think about the trauma from the fight, the cortisol levels and stuff. Your body's gonna swell naturally already, and then like you said, all the food, all the sweets, all the things, there's more swelling. Alcohol is just doubles that swelling and puts your body through more torment. So I realized it's just like I was like, I'm putting my body through so freaking much after this weight cut. It's not good for longevity, and that's the name of the game. That's I got my eyes on the prize. I'd love to be UFC champion, but I'm here for longevity. I want to be around for a long time. 10 years in the UFC. So yeah, that was important to me. I'm happy to start taking that step.
that's awesome. When do you want to get back in there? You said you want to keep active. Are you hoping to fight again this year, or what are you sort of looking at right now? I'm not sure how healthy you are.
Yeah, I feel like it'd have to probably be January. I mean, I would if something came up at this year, I would definitely jump on that. But I'm looking at January. I think they're making a card in Canada.
Toronto, yeah.
Yeah, January 20th or something like that. And Aiemann Zahabi's coming off 3 big wins, 2 knockout of the nights. I think that'd be a great fight, and be nice to kind of circle back to my debut. I remember I went to Canada to fight
Cole
Cole
Smith,
Smith.
right? You fought Cole, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I fought Cole, hometown kid there, and it was a fun experience. I really enjoyed Canada, but it was also like I was the underdog, and just walking into that arena there, Cole train, all that. I would love to circle back and go back to where it all started. So we'll see what happens. Maybe that'll be on the horizon.
You mentioned being at training already. What's the rest of the week looking like for you? I know kids are back in school. It's a crazy time. I mean, I don't know if people know this, but in Canada, the kids go back to school in September. I know for you guys, it's usually August, right? So it's probably you're probably more in the groove now than I am.
Yeah, well, we homeschool, so
Oh, nice. Okay.
yeah, my oldest is in first grade, and my second oldest is starting pre-K. So they're not like doing a ton of school, but we're homeschooling, so it's a busy time right now. And yeah, man, I'm just enjoying time with the family. I'm not training real hard, I'm not sparring or nothing like that. I'm just getting the body back in the motion. Take care of any little sores and stuff I have around me, and just kind of get back in shape, keep some of this weight off. So yeah, just hanging out, enjoying the wind, and seeing what's next.
That's interesting. Does your wife do the homeschooling, or is it like remote? How does that work?
Yeah, she does it. We do it through Liberty College, so they give her like a curriculum and stuff, and she just
Nice.
goes through that, yeah, through the computer and that. So she does pretty much like 95% of that. I'm just like the principal of the school. So
Okay. Interesting. Any particular reason for that? I mean, I can tell you as a parent, I've got a 6-year-old. I got a 2-year-old right now. I do have some questions about the education system these days. Is that part of the reason, or just is it just a personal preference? Why did you decide to homeschool your kids?
Yeah, that's part of the reason. It's also personal preference, and just because we have the opportunity. With our business, we do the golden doodle business, so we raise golden doodles, and we can do that from home. So she's home, and I'm home a lot because I train. So we had the opportunity. So yeah, we decided to jump on it.
Good for you, man. That's great. And what a win that was, man. Congratulations again. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, Miles, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Got nothing, man. Just follow me on Instagram, Miles Trappo Johns, and I appreciate your time.